There's something magnetic about a woman who knows who she is. She walks into a room, not seeking attention but commanding it, not because of what she wears or what she says, but because of who she's become. It's not luck. It's not youth. It's the result of quiet daily choices, habits that build strength, grace, and unshakable presence. And the truth is, every woman has the potential to become that version of herself. The difference? Most never develop the habits that unlock her. But today we're going to change that. You know, when you really take a step back and look at life, you start to notice that certain people just seem to have something special. They walk into a room, and without saying a word, they command attention. Not because they're loud or flashy, but because there's something about the way they carry themselves, something rooted deep in their habits, in how they show up every single day. And this is especially true for a mature woman who's done the work on herself. She doesn't chase attention, she attracts it. That's not luck. That's the result of living with clarity, discipline, and intention. You see, habits shape character, and character shapes destiny. That's why when we talk about these 6 habits that make a mature woman irresistible, we're not talking about surface-level charm or fleeting attraction. We're talking about something far more powerful. We're talking about the kind of presence that doesn't need validation, the kind of energy that draws people in without a single word spoken. It all starts with the mindset behind the habits. A mature woman who becomes irresistible doesn't wake up hoping the day treats her right. No, she takes responsibility for how she enters the day. She understands that how you start your morning often determines how your day unfolds. She's not scrolling through her phone first thing in the morning. She's setting her intentions. She's deciding, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, and this is how I will move through the world today. That kind of self-respect is magnetic. She doesn't try to be everything to everyone. She's learned, usually the hard way, that pleasing others at the expense of your own peace isn't noble, it's exhausting. So she's developed the habit of honoring her own voice. And let me tell you, there's something incredibly attractive about a woman who knows what she wants, what she won't tolerate, and who she is when no one's watching. That kind of clarity, it can't be faked. Now here's something important. A mature woman isn't trying to relive her 20s or fit into someone else's version of beauty or success. She's embraced her journey, the highs, the heartbreaks, the lessons, and she wears them like armor. Her confidence doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from knowing she's resilient. That habit of self-acceptance, of looking in the mirror and choosing to see strength instead of flaws, that's what draws people to her. She's also developed the habit of listening more than she speaks, not because she doesn't have something to say, but because she understands the value of presence. When she listens, she really listens. She's not waiting for her turn to speak. She's tuned in, and in a world full of noise, that kind of attention is rare. It's irresistible. People want to be around someone who makes them feel seen, who makes them feel heard. And then there's the way she moves through conflict. She doesn't react. She responds. She's not quick to anger or eager to win every argument. Instead, she's built the habit of staying grounded, of asking herself, what's really important here? That calm energy, it's not just attractive, it's powerful. People are drawn to stability, and a woman who knows how to stay calm under pressure becomes a source of peace for others. Finally, she's committed to growth. She doesn't say, this is just who I am, take it or leave it. She says, I'm proud of how far I've come, and I'm still learning, still evolving. That humility, that openness, that's the real magic. Because when you meet someone who's confident but never complacent, someone who's strong but still soft, someone who's wise but always learning, you don't forget her. And that's the thing. These habits aren't about changing who you are, they're about becoming more of who you've always been. Once you stop doubting, start deciding, and begin living with intention. Because the real attraction? It's not in the look, it's in the energy. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Trying to be liked by everyone is one of the fastest ways to lose your power. It's true. You cannot live a life of purpose and spend all your time chasing approval. A mature woman who becomes truly irresistible has learned this, sometimes the hard way. She no longer sacrifices her voice for comfort or bends to please people who were never meant to walk with her in the first place. She's grown past the need for constant reassurance. And that shift, that's where her strength really starts to shine. You see, when you're younger, it's natural to want to be accepted. You want to fit in, be part of something. But over time, life has a way of showing you the cost of that kind of thinking. The cost of silence when you should speak up. The cost of overcommitting just to avoid disappointing someone. The cost of shrinking yourself just to make someone else comfortable. And eventually, a moment comes, a breaking point or maybe a quiet realization, where you say, no more. And that's when the real growth begins. A mature woman who is irresistible doesn't wear a mask. She's not performing. She's not afraid to disagree respectfully or walk away peacefully. She's stopped explaining herself to people who are committed to misunderstanding her. That's not arrogance, that's clarity, that's emotional maturity. And let me tell you, there's nothing more attractive than a person who knows who they are and doesn't need your permission to be it. She's developed the habit of living by her own values, not someone else's expectations. That's a powerful place to be. When you start saying yes to what aligns with your peace and no to what drains it, everything changes. You start moving different. You speak differently. People feel it. And they may not be able to put it into words, but they notice something about you, a calm confidence that doesn't waver. This kind of woman doesn't need to compete. She's not comparing herself to anyone. She celebrates others genuinely because she knows someone else's light doesn't dim her own. That mindset frees her from envy, from bitterness, from chasing trends just to keep up. She's rooted in something deeper. She doesn't follow noise, she follows purpose. You know what else makes her irresistible? She respects her time. She doesn't give it away to people who only show up when it's convenient for them. She's learned to guard her energy like it's gold because it is. And she doesn't entertain drama or emotional games. That doesn't mean she's cold. On the contrary, she's warm, generous, and loving, but she's also wise enough to know the difference between being kind and being used. And when it comes to relationships, romantic, professional, or otherwise, she doesn't settle. She doesn't compromise her peace for the illusion of connection. She knows that being alone and whole is far better than being accompanied and broken. That kind of mindset doesn't come overnight. It comes through reflection. Through letting go of what's not yours to carry, through asking, what do I need to release in order to rise? You see, a woman who no longer seeks approval becomes magnetic. People want to be around someone who stands tall in their truth, who doesn't fold under pressure, who leads with grace and firm boundaries. And sometimes that means not being liked by everyone. That's okay, because the right people, those who are aligned with your values, will respect you more when you show up as your full self unapologetically. That's the habit. That's the quiet daily choice to live with self-respect rather than external validation. And it builds a foundation you can stand on for the rest of your life, because when you stop chasing approval, you start attracting respect. One of the most irresistible qualities a woman can develop is the habit of self-acceptance. Now, I'm not talking about just looking in the mirror and saying a few nice things to yourself. I'm talking about real, honest, unshakable self-acceptance, the kind that comes from knowing who you are, where you've been, and choosing to love yourself through all of it anyway. It's rare, and that's what makes it so powerful. You see, the world has a way of convincing us we need to be more, do more, have more, look different, act different. There's always a message somewhere telling you that you're too much of one thing or not enough of another. But a mature woman who is truly irresistible doesn't let those messages define her. She's done trying to fit into boxes that were never made for her in the first place. She's stopped asking for permission to be who she already is. That kind of freedom, it doesn't come from outside, it comes from within. Now, that doesn't mean she believes she's perfect, not at all. In fact, it's the opposite. She knows her flaws, her scars, her mistakes. She's not blind to them, she's made peace with them. She understands that every chapter of her life, even the painful ones, helped shape the woman she is today. And that acceptance, that peace, it radiates. You can feel it when she walks into a room. It's not loud, but it's strong. It says, I know who I am and I like her. This kind of woman doesn't need to prove anything. She's not looking for constant validation. She's not trying to outshine anyone else. She's already home within herself, and that presence, it's rare. People are drawn to it, not because she's trying to impress, but because she's authentic. And that's the secret. The world is starving for what's real. There's a certain kind of beauty that doesn't fade with time. It deepens. It grows richer, fuller, more meaningful. And that beauty comes from the habit of honoring your journey instead of criticizing it. A woman who has learned to love herself isn't chasing youth. She's embracing wisdom. She's not clinging to the past. She's building something meaningful in the present. And people can sense that. You can't fake it. You can't borrow it. You earn it by doing the inner work. She no longer tries to silence her emotions or hide her vulnerability. She knows that being open doesn't make her weak. It makes her human. And in a world full of masks and filters, that kind of realness is magnetic. She laughs without apology. She cries without shame. She's not afraid of being misunderstood because she's already understood herself. That's the foundation. That's the power. And here's something else. She doesn't compete with other women. She celebrates them. Because she's no longer in a race. She's not measuring her worth against someone else's highlight reel. She's already won the race that matters, the one with herself. That self-assurance, that quiet inner pride, it shows in the way she carries herself, in the way she speaks, in the way she treats others. It's not loud, but it's unforgettable. So many people spend their lives trying to become someone else. But the truth is, the most irresistible version of you is the most honest one. The one who owns her truth, stands in her values, and doesn't need the world to clap for her to feel worthy. That kind of self-acceptance isn't just attractive, it's transformative. Because once you learn to fully accept yourself, you stop asking others to fill the gaps you've already healed. And that's when everything changes. Because when you accept yourself completely, you invite the world to do the same. You know, 1 of the quietest but most powerful habits a mature woman develops, the kind that makes her truly irresistible, is the ability to listen with full presence. Not just hearing the words, but actually tuning in. Listening not just with her ears, but with her eyes, her heart, her awareness. It's rare these days. Most people are too busy preparing their reply, defending their stance, or trying to sound impressive. But the woman who listens, truly listens, creates space for others to feel seen, and that's a magnetic quality you can't buy or fake. You see, being heard is one of the deepest human needs. People don't just want advice, they want connection. They want to feel like their words matter. And when someone comes along who offers them the gift of their full attention, it creates an instant sense of safety, trust, and value. A mature woman who's mastered this doesn't interrupt. She doesn't dominate the conversation. She listens with her whole being, and you can feel it. It's in the way she nods, the way she pauses before responding, the way she holds space without judgment. She's not rushing to fill the silence. That's important. Silence makes a lot of people uncomfortable. They feel the need to jump in, to say something, to make the moment lighter. But not her. She knows silence can be sacred. She's comfortable enough in herself that she doesn't need to control the moment. And in that stillness, something beautiful happens. People open up. They relax. They share more than they expected, because they feel safe in her presence. That habit of intentional listening, it's not just about others either. It reflects how she treats herself. A woman who listens deeply to others is usually someone who has learned to listen to her own inner voice first. She's in tune with her intuition. She doesn't ignore the quiet whisper inside that says, something's off, or this is the right move. She doesn't drown it out with noise or distractions. She honors it. That inner alignment gives her a quiet confidence that others naturally trust. You ever notice how some people can walk into a room and immediately make others feel better without even trying? It's not because they're saying all the right things. It's because of the energy they carry. It's calm, it's steady, it's intentional. That's what happens when you develop the habit of listening. You become more present, more grounded, more aware. And in a world that's rushing, reacting, and constantly distracted, that presence becomes rare. It becomes irresistible. Now here's the thing. Listening well doesn't mean you never speak. It doesn't mean you let people walk over you or that you have nothing valuable to say. On the contrary, the woman who listens deeply often speaks with greater impact, because when she talks, people lean in. They know her words are thoughtful, measured, and sincere. She's not talking to be heard, she's talking to serve, to connect, to uplift, and people respect that. And it goes even further. When she listens, she learns. She picks up on what's not being said. She notices the shift in someone's tone, the emotion behind the words, the tension in the silence. That awareness allows her to respond with empathy, not ego, with compassion, not criticism. And again, those are rare qualities. That kind of emotional intelligence doesn't shout, it whispers. And that whisper, it draws people closer. People want to be around someone who makes them feel understood. It's one of the most attractive things in the world. Not the loudest voice in the room, but the one who hears yours. That's the magic. That's the habit. It's not about saying the right thing at the right time. It's about making others feel like they matter. And when a woman can do that, not by trying to be impressive, but by simply being present, she becomes unforgettable. Because when you truly listen, you speak to the heart without ever saying a word.